Well, we are here in the Southern Connecticut Athletic Communications Studios. Coach Tim Quill, head coach of the Southern men's and women's swimming and diving team. Glad you'll be able to join us here for the Coach's Corner. Coach is jumping on board here with the weekly spot, so we'll be chatting each week here during the course of the season. Coach, thanks first off for your willingness to take advantage of this opportunity, and we're excited to be able to catch up with you each week.
Thanks for having me on.
Well, we got a lot to talk about here in this first conversation. Let's start off with a season preview before we talk about the first meet of the year.
Okay.
I know you've had some time in the preseason and now one regular season meet under your belt. What are you looking for, and what are some of the expectations for both the men's and the women's squad here in 2016-17?
Well, obviously, as you know, we graduated a huge men's class last year. So, and of course, our men had a tremendous conference meet, as well as our women. What is a season preview for us? We need to continue, hopefully, the tradition that we've been able to establish here at Southern over the past 14, 15 years in the conference. I really think that our men certainly have their work cut out for them this year, just because of the fact that we did graduate 6 guys. But we have a real nice returning class, and we have some good key returners that I think will do a nice job for us. On the women's side, fortunately, we only graduated 1 female last year, and with a lights out conference championship, our women really swam spectacular last year. I think we're really looking forward to a great season for the women.
You just touched on from a general perspective, but can you speak individually as to who some of those key contributors are that you'll be looking for both teams this year?
Sure. On the women's side, obviously our 3 captains, Katie Crochet, Katie Krychek, and Kayla Layden, they are big point scorers for our team. They're the leaders of the program. So, I know that they will certainly do a great job this year leading us into our conference championships. But there are a lot of key contributors on the women's side. With Lily Martin and Emily Wolf and Aubrey Bailey, and the list does go on. I have to include in our sole one diver, Isabel Williams. These young ladies obviously will certainly lead our team this year. On the men's side, Ray Snyder, Dylan Swanpole, those are our 2 captains, following Brandon Bedoin. There's some good guys there, and what was really nice last year is to watch the freshman class really develop, and see what they're capable of doing this year. And now the honeymoon period's over, and now they need to really think a little bit more, about what their true goals and expectations are, because obviously coming in as freshmen, they're a little overwhelmed. They're not really sure what the season really has in store for them. But I think that they all know now that they can be point scorers for our team.
And as one group elevates and becomes acclimated, you of course naturally bring in a new group of freshmen.
Yep.
To come in and round out the roster, and I'm sure you're excited about a lot of the talented newcomers that you brought
Absolutely.
in. Tell us a little bit about who some of the new faces are this year.
Well, we have 16. So 8 men, 8 women, and I'm not going to leave anybody out, so I did bring my little cheat sheet here. On the women's side, and I'm going to tell you, each one of these young ladies certainly brings a talent level to our program that we probably haven't really seen in quite some time. The depth of the freshman class really is spectacular. But Avery Forniciari, Megan Garner, Erin Larry, Hannah Morse, Kirsten Snyder, Elizabeth Sullivan, Marissa Tutone, and Emily Whaler. They're all going to be key contributors to our team this year. And likewise on the men's side, 8 guys, 2 of them divers. The divers Dave Galino and Brendan Sanders, they're immediately going to jump on those boards and score points for our team. But, I would have to say, our, really top tier freshmen coming in, Max Padro, Jake Valecco, Leo Laporta, and John Gaudio. You know, they have the skills already as freshmen to score a lot of points for us, but I'm not going to leave out Noah Curtis, David Galino, and David Mendonca, who will, I think, be role players for us.
You touched on it in kind of the opening statement, but this program, both on the men's and women's side, is really the benchmark for the NA10. You know, for what you've established here since the formation of the conference and its inclusion of swimming and diving. With that said, with all the conference championships, with all the top 3 finishes, with all the individual champions, is there extra pressure that you feel individually, or that you think the student athletes feel throughout the course of the year as they, you know, embark on another season?
Well, I'd be lying if I didn't say there isn't any pressure. Of course there is. You know, I mean, even though our women's team did not win the conference title last year, the reality is within the conference is that everybody wants to beat Southern Connecticut. You know, they won 10 out of 13, and likewise for the men winning 12 out of 13. So yeah, there is a lot of pressure there. And you know, last year is over, so now we need to really think about you know, what we have to get done this year as a team, and we've already been thinking about that. You know, we're pretty much 4 weeks into a season. We have already gone over our team goals and objectives. We will be meeting very soon on an individual basis with each one of our athletes. But you know, the fact is that we're already eyeing the conference championship in February. You know, I know that, you know, dual meets and everything like that play a role, and they do. You know, the fact is that they're racing, you know, other athletes from other programs, but we really don't swim a lot of Northeast 10 teams during the season. We swim in a number of invitational type formats that kind of bring upon that conference style. You know, the 4-day conference meet, for instance. You know, so you know, we swim Yale, we're swimming UConn, we're swimming Iona next week, we swim Marist College. You know, we just swam one of the Division II top 10 powerhouse teams, Westchester. You know, we are willing to take on all comers. We're going to swim Bridgeport, University of Bridgeport this year, which we have never swum against Bridgeport, and they're a top 10 nationally ranked program. But I just really look at it as that it just makes us a better program. I mean, even if we have a losing record and maybe get trounced by a couple of these teams, you know, the fact is when you swim a UConn and a Yale, the fact is you're swimming up against better, talented athletes coming into college. But I look at it as that when you swim and race better athletes and better programs, the tendencies are there for you to become a better athlete and a better program. You know, the thing that we always preach to the freshmen is that, you know, when they were in high school, you know, they're all accomplished athletes. But when they're in high school, it's that big fish, small pond mentality. You know, they get wrapped up in the high school setting and what's going on in their state. You know, and the fact is in college, it's an ocean. You know, you are swimming against international athletes from all over the world. Some of them that you may see in here might score at a Division I national championship. Some of them could be a Division II, or for that matter, even a Division III. When we swim TCNJ, they've had plenty of national champions. So, you know, it really is an ocean, and they need to understand that. And once they understand that, I think that their focus is really where we want it to be as far as training is concerned, because really at this particular point in their careers, it's training that gets them to the next level.
You just alluded to it, season opening meeting against Westchester and Shippensburg. Just give us your takeaways from the opening weekend. What did you see from your spot on the deck?
You know, I saw what the potential of our program. I mean, the fact is, you know, we were swimming 3+ weeks into a season that extends all the way through February, and for some into March. And you know, I wouldn't say that, you know, training really had very much to do with last weekend. If anything, the training might have beat them up a little bit more than they might be used to at this particular point. So I think what they did see though is the talent level. None of the teams that we swam, Westchester, Shippensburg, including us, we're just really not in shape right now. If anything, we're kind of beat up. So I think they just see the raw talent at this particular point. But for us, it was a really good eye opener to kind of see where everybody fits within the event order, and maybe already tweaking things just a little bit with the coaching staff on maybe some different events, maybe some different looks in different events, and we're kind of already thinking about what events our athletes may be swimming on day 1 through day 4 of a conference meet, just by swimming a multitude of different individual events.
Were there any surprises, anything stand out for you that you may not have been expecting otherwise during the opening weekend?
Performance-wise, no. I don't really think that there were any surprises on that particular end, but there was one surprise, and I really think it's the enthusiasm and the motivation of our program this year. I mean, every year it takes on a different character. The characteristics, you're bringing in kids from all different walks of life, and you don't know how those personalities are going to gel, and hopefully they gel very, very well. But I think that we're seeing a well-mannered and well-structured program, and I could really see it in their enthusiasm on the deck. They're supporting one another. The sportsmanship, it really is at a high level right now, and those are really good things right now, because when they're able to bring a good attitude to practice, they tend to get more out of it. So, these are things that we're going to continue to expand on.
Coach, last question for you. This is 10 years here for me now at Southern, and we'll see you swim in Iona program. That'll be, again, the first here in my time.
Yeah.
You touched on it earlier, the willingness to compete against Division I's.
Sure.
You'll have one visiting here on Saturday. I'm sure it's probably as much, if not more so, for assessing your times, your performance, as opposed to what Iona is doing. But with that said, how do you hope having a Division I program like Iona come in will help to benefit the team both short and long term?
Anytime we get to swim a Division I program, I think it's just nothing but positives for us. Nick Cavatero, I've known Nick for a long time, dating all the way back to our club years when he was coaching in Greenwich, and I was coaching in Cheshire. So I've known Nick for a long time. He's a great guy. We have had some exhibition type meets down in Florida when we've been on training trips together, but none of them were scoring events. So this will be the first time. I'm just really looking forward to it. I haven't even really looked at his team yet. Sorry, but that will be for tomorrow. I don't even know if they've even had a dual meet yet. But I will look back at last year's results and see what type of program he has. I know that he's got some pretty good quality swimmers. I know they seem to match up pretty well against Marist last year, and Marist is a big competitor of ours. So I'll be able to see what his program has. Maybe take a look at the freshman class. But really, again, this weekend is just going to be expanding on what we did last year. We'll try to put in some key matchups in some certain races. But again, as much as they thought that they were, our team thought that they were tired last week, they're even more tired this week. And hate to break it to you guys, you'll be even more tired next week, but that's what swimming is about. It's about preparing for that culminating event. Swimming is different than a lot of other sports out there. It's a time-based sport, and it requires a rest period, it requires a taper phase, putting on the big tech suits. So even though these meets are coming up and we're going to be ready to race, and we will definitely put our best foot forward and represent Southern Connecticut in the highest regard, we're thinking about February.
Well, Coach, we look forward to speaking with you on a weekly basis here as the year progresses. I know you always have exciting things going on in your program. Certainly an outstanding tradition, and we look forward to speaking with you each week. As we jump into next week and the week after, we'll get a chance to speak about some of the great events you have coming up here at the end of the month.
Sounds good.
So we're looking forward to that. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a great week. Coach Quill, thanks again for joining
Thanks
us.
for having me.
All right, have a great day, everyone.